Do you have like a request for marketplaces for founders here, maybe?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was chatting with I'll give a side tangential story. Y'all may have seen the latest YC Litecoin episode. They talked a lot about marketplaces. I actually met with Gary a few weeks before that, and I was kind of like, "Hey, I feel like there's less marketplaces in YC. Now, there's still quite a few marketplaces in YC, so don't get me wrong. But that in that conversation, I realized that my kind of worldview of marketplaces was maybe too small. I think we need to expand the definition to a lot of things. So I even like started calling Scale AI a clear marketplace. Flexport, all these things should also be marketplaces. They're just sort of managed. But on that note, as you expand the definition of marketplaces, which I think we should, uh, the two places that I would say I would have a request for marketplace right now are one in government. So there's one avenue that sorry, not I don't want to get political per se, but there's a lot of waste in a lot of government contracts. I think we can say that. There is a lot of inefficiencies in some of the bureaucracy that we've seen in some of that building. And so a marketplace that starts to pair maybe with AI layered in, maybe starting without, but starts to pair the sort of needs that we have as a country with the providers of that can be more let's call it free market than it is now. I think is going to be a humongous opportunity in the future. Uh, I'm not the person to start this company, but I would love to fund the person that can do it or the team that can do this. That would be my number one. Number two is I think, you know, not sorry. Contextually now we have maybe a clear example of why this is necessary, but with the wildfires that are happening in California, my hearts go out. I'm from Southern California. The folks in that world, we clearly need um, a way for folks to interact with those government services better and maybe manage those government services better. And maybe there's a whole layer um, of service personnel that should be contracted, subcontracted, and not be part of like a, a traditional government entity. I don't know the answer to this, but if we can solve this, I think marketplaces are a way to solve this. Um, it might be, again, I'm just playing a future world example. It might be crazy. Please don't take this as an insult to anyone, but there is a world where the entire like Bureau of Forestry Management is a private entity that can actually take care and handle some of the problems that we're facing. This is not, I will also say this is not saying that this is the reason why there are fires in California. I'm just saying let's figure out there are marketplace solutions that can solve those problems for us as we move forward in time.
I definitely think the recent events have brought this to attention to many and will kind of help divert some founders to helping us solve those problems. Hopefully through marketplaces, as you mentioned. So
I'll mention one that I came across that I was like really intrigued by and kind of spurned some of these thoughts. I didn't even know about this at the time, but I met a founder who was basically saying that um, all of the um, all of the sort of like trash and waste management that we all kind of take for granted as services is actually pretty easily turned into a marketplace because they're already kind of subcontracted out and they are essentially private companies that are doing this. And by making it a marketplace, which they are doing, they're building this marketplace to essentially offer these services and aggregate all the providers as well as the service needs from the local governments. That's like a fully transferable marketplace that could completely change the way all of us interact with waste management, which to me was like kind of eye-opening because I assumed that was all government run. And so that kind of is what spurned some of these thoughts.